Awesome. Well, hey everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Lucas Poyser. I'm the Senior Assistant Director for Visitor Services and Events. I work on the admission team here at Merrimack College, and I'm super excited to see all of you here virtually. These are all of our panelists, and we're joined by Amy and Jimmy this evening to talk more about pre-med pathways here at Merrimack College. Just a few housekeeping things before we go ahead and get started. I am here in an admission capacity, so if you have any questions about anything regarding undergraduate admission at Merrimack, I'm happy to answer those through the chat. So feel free to use the Q&A function that's at the bottom of your screen. That's the best way to ask us questions that we'll be fielding throughout the evening. Sometimes we'll answer them live. Sometimes we'll jump in and answer them to you and type them out. With that being said, I'm very happy to have Amy and Jimmy here along with all of our panelists, and I'll turn it over to them to go ahead and get started.
Great. Thank you, Lucas. So welcome everyone. We're really excited to have you here and hope this panel will be really useful for you in making decisions about Merrimack. So I'm just a brief introduction. I'm Amy Schaffer. I'm an assistant professor here in the Department of Health Sciences, and I also do women's health research here on campus. And Jimmy, do you want to introduce yourself before we get into slides?
Actually, hi, everybody. First of all, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're really excited to tell you about some of the really exciting things we have going on here at Merrimack, specifically around how to get people into healthcare. So med school, PA, dental, vet, OT, PT. And so we have some really fascinating pathways that we're excited to share about. My name is Jimmy Franco. I'm the academic dean for sciences and mathematics, and also the co-director of arts and sciences. And I'm a chemist by training. So nice to meet all of you.
Great. So we're just going to go through, to give you an overview, we're going to go through a few slides just to introduce you to all the amazing things we have here at Merrimack in this healthcare profession pathways that we have. And then we're going to turn over to introduce some of our panelists as well so they can share their stories with you. Okay, so pathways to healthcare professions here at Merrimack. So we really try to set you up for success here at Merrimack, and we've been really working on integrating many different opportunities for students to go on to the healthcare profession, graduate school that they are really interested in. And so you kind of start here with exploring. So I am one of two pre-health professions mentors. So Professor Andy Cannon, I'll get to this in a minute, is also one of them. And so I really help the pre-PA, pre-med, pre-vet, pre-dental students navigating their path to these graduate schools. So you can explore different class options, explore your career options, and then we really start to bring in site visits. So going actually out to places to see different programs, engaging in research is a really big thing at Merrimack, and some of our panelists will talk about that. And then doing other things, so internships in the health sciences where I am, everybody's required to do an internship, which can really help you find what you need to do and where you want to go, and having clinical opportunities for students. And then really helping those final steps of getting that push in, so mock interviews, help with your application to graduate schools, and we also have a Kaplan discount to help with preparing for those exam tests that you'll have to take. And we'll talk about our articulation agreements in a minute.
Eric, so one of the really unique things about the way Merrimack does pre-med is we don't force everybody into one pathway. When people are going to be most successful, it's when they're following their passion. So if you're really excited about the material you're studying, about the courses you're taking, the instructors, the faculty members you're working with, that's when you're going to do your best. We actually had an admissions rep from UNE come and talk to us, and people had asked, I've heard different things. I should do this kind of internship, or I should do this type of research. And she said, I'll just be honest with you. We can tell when you did something because someone told you that's what is going to get you into med school versus the people who are really passionate about their work and really excited. And that's a great story to tell. And those are the students we're most excited to take into our program. And so we've embraced that for the way that students take their courses at Merrimack. So you can go to med school, being a health science major, a biology major, chemistry, biochemistry. You can be a humanities major and go to med school. And so what we do is really let you take the pathway that's going to be best for you. And then we just help you take all the courses that are going to prepare you. So there are some courses you have to take. So you have to take your Gen Chem, your microbiology. We'll make sure you take the courses you need to be successful in med school, to hit all the prerequisites, all the requirements. But we want to make sure that you're having a great experience because that'll translate to a really competitive application. And so that's what we want to do is not only make sure that you have a great time at Merrimack, but set you up for success afterwards, not only in your graduate program, but for a long and a substantial career.
Great. And part of that is that we now have pre-health professions faculty mentors. So in addition to your academic advising, where you will have an advisor assigned to you to help you with picking courses and navigating your 4 years here through that, we also, myself and Professor Andy Cannon, are now pre-health professions faculty mentors. So we're meeting with students. I've just been getting some emails today. We're meeting with students one-on-one about how to get into these grad schools, how to set themselves up for success. We're also organizing different events on campus. We've just been in touch with Mass General Hospital's Institute of Health Professions to
Mhm.
organize some events coming up in the fall for students to get into their programs. And we're also overseeing the articulation agreements that we'll talk about in a minute to make sure we're setting students up for the best success in getting into these different graduate programs that we have the articulation agreements for. And we really love doing this, of working with the students one-on-one and helping them find the career path that they want to go down. And then one of the big things at Merrimack, and we're growing in this a lot, and you'll when Jimmy talks about the next slide, you'll see a lot of that growth, is research. So Merrimack has a really big push to become a bigger research institution. And that is one of the reasons that I came to work here as well. I've only been here for 3 years,
Mhm.
but came here to teach and do research. And so these are two within the Department of Health Sciences, two of our big research faculty members. So Juliana Cohen, she does a lot around school nutrition policies and interventions and has a lot of funding from the NIH, or the National Institutes of Health. And she also provides a lot of research opportunities for undergraduate students. So she actually right now is doing a school meals project where undergrad students are going into schools and helping to weigh food that's left over after school meals to see how much school food waste there is. And then Dr. Lena Barath, she is more on the basic science side, although she's in our health sciences department, and she does a lot with biology of aging and is great with including undergraduate students in our research and getting them to international conferences, to publishing manuscripts. She's very a great researcher and a great mentor to have.
And so we just recently hired two new faculty members. So Dr. Martin Egan actually comes from the University of Arkansas, where he had won a National Science Foundation Career Award. And so his research is around looking at how fungal pathogens can infect some of our food population. And it's a really cool video that he actually showed during his interview where he studies how a protein actually walks down the filament of a fungal pathogen and then actually like punctures into its host. And so what he does is use biology to figure out how can we solve some of these crises and these fungal pathogens from infecting our food sources. And just similar to the two researchers you saw before, very great at integrating undergrads, graduate students into his research. And as you're thinking about, why is this important to me for med school, for PA school, for vet school, is what's going to make you stand out? Well, doing work with any of these fantastic faculty members, the same Dr. Maggie Matern recently won an award from the National Institute of Health for her research on hearing. So she's actually, as you can see me listening to my earbuds, sometimes we listen to it too loudly. It actually impacts our hearing. And so what she's actually worked is regenerating the hair cells in your ear, which is what is the leading cause of hearing loss. And so if people like me put the music too loud, it affects our hearing. So she's going to actually work to reverse some of that hearing loss. Again, really great at bringing undergraduates into our research. And it's something that's going to be a really great thing to stand out in your resume, in your cover letter, when you're talking about what is the cutting edge work that you've done that makes you separate yourself from the rest of the applicants when you're applying to these professional programs that are highly competitive.
Yeah, it really does make a difference having that research experience on there. And the more research you can get kind of coming in earlier on in your
Hmm.
undergraduate career and really building a relationship with whoever you're doing research with, the faculty you're doing it with, can be really helpful. And even from writing a letter of recommendation, I know for myself, the students who I
Yeah.
do research with, can write very strong letters of recommendation for them because I know them so well. So it can be really helpful with your applications. And then we just briefly want to talk about two of our new centers and areas. So at CHAMP, if you've been to our Health Sciences Admitted Students Days, you will have seen CHAMP. It stands for Center for Health Advancement, Movement, and Performance. So we have three different cores here, but really it's about integrating undergraduate and graduate learning in spaces where you can actually engage with the things that you're learning about, the equipment and the different testing you're learning about. So we have a sports performance where we have exercise bikes and you can, see how far you can go with certain loads on the exercise bike. We have nutrition and metabolic core for doing body composition and metabolic testing, and then a behavior and wellness core for where our health coaching, our dietary coaching with our registered dietitian program that we have, and health education. We're actually doing some yoga and mindfulness classes through there as well.
Mhm.
And so the goal of this is to include some research within this CHAMP Center, to include undergraduate teaching within there and graduate teaching, but also to provide services to the wider community right now, to the Merrimack community, providing services of yoga classes and things like that as well. And then Jimmy will mention our surf, which is
Yeah,
great.
so our SURF is our shared instrumentation research facility. And so what this is a state-of-the-art research facility for the life sciences. When you walk into this facility, you'll feel like you're instantly transported to Cambridge in one of the biotechs there. So you're working at Pfizer, Vertex, something like that. And what we've done is similar to what they've done in Champ, is we want you to have a learning experience that's a true like transformative experience in terms of research. You're getting to use the same instruments you would use at a biotech. You're getting to work on equipment that you would as a researcher. So, even if you don't end up going into the biotech field, they share a lot of those same properties. You're learning how to problem solve, right? Just the same way that you would see as a doctor, a patient come in with some symptoms, and you have to kind of work through the steps of the diagnosis, put the pieces together, and come up with how to treat the patient. Same thing in a research lab. You're faced with a problem, you're going to work through your techniques, you're going to use your instrumentation, your skill set, and figure out how the best way forward is and solve a problem. And so that's why people value research, is that it really gets to that critical thinking. It shows that you can take some skill set, apply it and in a meaningful way and solve a problem. And that's what doctors, clinicians do all the time, is they see a patient with an issue and they try to solve it. And actually one of the coolest instruments we have, it's not in this image, is an NMR, so nuclear magnetic resonance. It's actually the exact same technology if any of you have ever had an MRI, right? If you hurt your elbow or your knee, and instead of you sliding into the MRI where they can take a picture of your muscles or your ligaments, we do the same thing in our undergrad courses where students drop a sample in and it actually hovers in a bed of air and they can see each of the atoms. And so the same way the doctor would look at your ligaments to figure out if you have a torn or some injury, you can actually look and diagnose an atom or a molecule and tell us what you've actually made. So it's kind of that same exact kind of problem solving and sorting through. And so it's a really great experience that we offer students here at Merrimack. The next one, and this one, Amy and I are really excited to share. So Merrimack's been working really hard at setting up people for success after Merrimack. And so what we've done is set up these articulation agreements. And so what an articulation agreement is just a formal agreement between Merrimack and a professional program to get our students either guaranteed spots or interviews at these programs. So for the first one at LECOM, Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, Merrimack is going to get 5 seats per year for qualified students in their medical school program. So what this is if you hit a certain criteria, so GPA, MCAT score, we'll have 5 seats for medical school each year exclusively for Merrimack students. The best part about this is it's completely in your favor. If you get into Harvard Medical School and say, hey, I'd rather go there instead of here, you're completely free to go to any medical school you want. But those seats are reserved for Merrimack students, which is awesome. The other one, we have a similar agreement with the University of New England where it's every qualified applicant gets a guaranteed interview. And this works really well because Merrimack students tend to interview really well. So this is both for current students and alumni. And so that means any student that hits the criteria will get a guaranteed interview, which really gets you through that first big hurdle. And if you don't mind, if you'll indulge me, I'll tell you one quick story about the UNE one. So I had emailed one of the admissions people and, was talking about it and said, we'd love to work with you guys. Is there any way we can set up some of these? I've seen some of these in different situations. And kind of like maybe you're doing now is you're looking at the Zoom and we're making eye contact and we're talking. But I don't know if any of you have ever been on a Zoom where you can clearly tell that the person that you're talking to is either reading an email or just not paying attention and they're not really looking at you. And I was like, oh, that's happening to me. And this is not going well. He's not even paying attention to what I'm telling him. What he was actually doing had looked up all the Merrimack students that had gone to UNE for their med program, looks up at me and says, hey, Jimmy, you guys have sent us some really great students. We can definitely do something. And so it's really a testament to some of our students that have already gone through the program. And so and the reason I bring that up is we do a really great job of training people, but it's really the fantastic students that come to Merrimack that have made all this happen. And so it's a really great opportunity for us. And then the last one, at least for now, definitely not the last one we're going to set up, is a really great partnership we have with Mass General. So MGH has set up a program where we're going to have, again, guaranteed seats in their PT program. So Doctor of Physical Therapy, Occupational Therapy, and then speech and language pathology as well. So these are really great programs, highly competitive programs, a really great institution. We actually just met with them earlier this week, where they really help students get into the clinic afterwards. And so they create a great experience. And so these are highly competitive programs that we've got dedicated seats for. So we're really excited. And the other thing, just like I mentioned, we're not done. We're going to keep building out some of these. The other programs we're working really hard on it, and I think we're going to be able to announce them shortly, is we would like to do something similar for dental programs, physician assistants, which becomes super popular right now. So PA, podiatry. We'd love to build an accelerated PharmD program. So to become a pharmacist, so you could actually do your first 3 years at Merrimack and then double dip your first year in pharmacy school. And so you can graduate with both an undergrad and a PharmD degree 1 year shorter than it would typically take people. And then our colleagues over on the art side is actually working on a similar degree for law school so they can do an accelerated law program. And so just really trying to focus on outcomes and making sure that when you come to Merrimack, you're set up for success afterwards. And so we're really excited to kind of partner with these institutions and hopefully work with all of you.
Great. Okay, so those are kind of all the things we want to tell you about, but we'd also really love for you to learn more from our panelists because that's who we really want you to hear from is our current students and our former students and their experiences here at Merrimack, so you can see what it's been like for them. So I'm going to go around and just have them each introduce themselves briefly, and then we'll actually dive into some questions. So if you have questions while we're going around introducing people, feel free to pop them into the Q&A, and then we can go through them afterwards. So I'll start with Angelina.
Hi, I'm Angelina. I'm a sophomore biology student. I'm also a pre-med with minors in chemistry and Spanish. I'll graduate in the spring of 2028. So that's exciting.
Mhm.
It's very exciting. Thank you. And then Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan Stevens. I'm from Lynn, Mass. Right now, I'm technically a senior, but I plan on graduating a little bit early in the fall of 2026. My major is health science, and I'm pursuing the pre-PA pathway. And yeah.
Thanks, Megan. And then Alicia.
Hi everyone. My name's Alicia Kerr. I am a senior graduating in just I think like 2 months. It's really sad. I am a health science major with a minor in psychology, and I'm a pre-PA pathway. So yeah, I'm getting ready to take a gap
Mhm.
year before I apply for grad programs.
Thanks, Alicia. And then Lauren.
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Bergoli. I'm from Tewksbury, Mass. I graduated Merrimack College in 2022. I had a major in health science, minor in psych, and right now I'm currently a PA student at MCPHS in the Manchester campus.
Great. Thanks. And Brianna.
Hi, I'm Brianna. I'm from Southern New Hampshire. I graduated in 2023. I majored in rehabilitation sciences, which was a subspecialty of health science back in the day, and a minor in psychology. And Lauren and I actually go to the same PA school, um, MCPHS Manchester, and we should be graduating in December.
Awesome. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, so we had a few questions that had come in earlier. And since we've been talking about research, I know some of you have done research here. So I was wondering if you just want to share um, a little bit of your experience with research. Maybe Lauren or Brianna, do you want to start since you've already graduated and how that kind of helped you?
I did my research before I graduated, so I did senior year with Professor Dr. Shonkoff. We were really close. I spent 4 years with her. I took every class I could with her. We just had a great
Mhm.
bond. So I wanted something more to stand out in my application. And I finished all my classes and I was like, I want something more. I want something that will make me look great to this PA school. And I was actually interested in research too. So I reached out to her and she made me a research assistant. She's mostly with nutrition. So we did feeding checklist with kids with childhood obesity and who are food insecure. So we worked with children and family down at the YMCA in Lawrence, just to incorporate healthy foods into their diet and what could be used to better make them easier and more helpful for the families to incorporate meals that will help them. So I thought that was a great experience for me, something different, um, and obviously helped a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Brianna, do you
Mine
want to
was
share?
actually very different, which I think is great. Because there's so many different paths you can take at Merrimack when you're talking to your advisors. I actually did my junior year a solo research study under Andy Cannon, one of the professors there. So my junior year, we did a self-guided research for some credits and for applications, and I did it on hip strength and balance and looking at what risks that typically puts females compared to males for different ACL injury risks. And then the great thing was I did that my junior year, so I got involved really early. In my senior year, um, I got matched up with another student who was doing similar research, and we looked at the difference of hip abduction and adduction strength compared to body weight ratios. So it was nice getting to do research paired with someone else along with something individually. And the great thing is you can pick anything you're interested in and work with an advisor on campus if they're willing to work with you and research anything that you're really interested in.
Great, thank you. And then Angelina, do you want to share your experiences?
So I started really early because I did early college here. So since junior summer, I've been doing research on campus. I've spent my upperclassmen high school summers here. So I did yeast cells and fluoxetine, and we would see how it would affect the growth kinetics of yeast cells because yeast cells are similar to like human cells, and it's used in a lot of studies. And then when I came here, I wanted to do something new, so I did neuroscience, and it's a
Nice.
cortisol and sleep study, and it's called Risk. And I did more of the human like EEG, the headbands. They take them home, they spit in tubes, and now I prep the cortisol and the surf actually in the fall and the spring of the semester, and I'm also looking for new projects. So I love research. I'm a big fan of research.
And I just want to highlight how cool that is that I think sometimes when people see places like the SURF or CHAMP that they're just for faculty, they're just for researchers that like are the graduate postdocs, things like that that you see at some large R1 schools. Here, it's our students that are using it. So she gets to use a $200,000 instrument to actually see the molecular weight of cholesterol. It's actually a super cool project she does. And so it's really neat that she gets to run all the samples herself and actually see the peaks in it and analyze them. So really exciting work.
Yeah, that's very cool work. And then Alicia, do you want to share some of yours?
Yes. So I actually did research with Dr. Shafir this past semester. We looked at pelvic pain in college students utilizing a survey that students on campus would take. Um, and again, like it's been mentioned several times, I wanted to get involved in research because it does make you stand out on applications, especially in these really competitive programs that you're seeing. I think that there's been a very big increase in pre-PA. So it definitely makes you stand out. And I also, it was really nice because I am really interested in women's health. So it was a way to take my interest and align it with hands-on research to get an experience in that field, get some kind of background knowledge before going to grad school and utilizing it. But it was really cool working with Dr. Shafir and all the other research assistants. And I actually am presenting it in, I also think like a couple weeks at our
Yeah.
research conference that we're doing on campus. So I think that will be a really good opportunity. It's
Yeah,
That's
great.
awesome.
every
Yeah.
May we have a research conference here on campus, or at the end of April, beginning of May. And so we try to have as many students as possible present their work there because it's such a great experience to get that presentation skills and showcase what they've done, all that hard work. So thank you for sharing all of your research experiences.
But Angelina, would you mind talking about some of the things you're doing to help get yourself into med school? So we've actually, I'll let her take over. I was going to ruin the spoiler, but
What do I not do to get into
this
medical
is true.
school? Seems like the better question. Um, So for background, I'm from Lawrence. I live really close to Merrimack College, so I always knew it was a thing. And I'm very passionate about like my whole theme is like I want to be a doctor that serves my community. So my minor in Spanish is because I want to strengthen my Spanish to work in Hispanic dominated populations because we have a great need and needing providers in our communities. And I have like experiences from just like family members, people from my city. So that's really my why. So I try to like reflect that. I volunteer in NESB. It's called MSP. It's the Merrimack STEM Pathways for Youth, where we go to middle schools in Lawrence and we do STEM projects. And I'm a leader in that. I also volunteer at the hospital. I'm a CNA. Clinical hours
Mhm,
are very important. Please get
mhm.
that done early. I do research. I am a student worker at our Office of Intercultural Initiatives, and I'm also the vice president of our Latinx Association on campus and the secretary for our Health Professions Club. So,
And
yeah.
and just in case that wasn't enough, she actually is championing one of our new partnerships where we actually enable students to do like EMT training as an open elective. So while we don't offer it at Merrimack, we've partnered with several institutions, and so they can actually go take that as an open elective course at Merrimack that's just built into their coursework. So that's a really cool program. I think you actually recruited 3 other Merrimack students, right, to go with you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. We're having a lot of fun. It's really interesting. So I'm really glad I got to take that class.
But- And then, Alicia or Lauren, would you talk a little bit about your clinical experience? I know both of you have done really cool things to help get those hours because for a PA, they're definitely right. I think some schools want almost as much as like 2,000 patient care hours. And so they've both done some really neat things to get those patient care hours, not only to get the amount they need for the application, but to also make their application stand out.
Yeah, so I can talk about a little bit what I did. So the COVID year kind of messed me up when I was at Merrimack, so I wasn't able to get that many hours during my time. So what I did was when I graduated, right after Merrimack, I kind of researched programs that would take me for certified nursing assistant, so CNA. And I found a program that started the day after graduation. It was like May 9th. I'm like, I'm going to start it just to get it done. It was a 4-week accelerated program. It was at Northern Essex
Mhm,
Community College right in Lawrence. So very easy. And there's one in Haverhill too. So there's 2 campuses.
mhm,
And they still do it. I actually was looking it up today just so I can give
mhm,
you guys some information. But it's still available. It's a 4-week course. So it's mostly on Zoom. And then you go in person to do some hours, hands-on clinical experience to work with. I actually went to a dementia floor on one of their campus sites that they're affiliated with, and we did some hands-on experience with real patients there. So that was great. And then you can actually sit for the license if you would like. You don't have to. I did not because I really needed to get in my hours. So right after that, I applied at Leahy in Burlington to do a CNA job in their cardiology department. So I was medical assistant there for a couple of years and I absolutely loved it. Got a great experience with EKGs, patient experience, working with a lot of physicians, a lot of PAs there too. So that was awesome. So I actually got a lot of recommendations from there too. And then I also worked on a dementia floor somewhere in Wilmington, Mass, to get another population, another different segment of medicine, just to see how that is. So just what the moral of the story is here is try to get your hours in early, do as much as you can, take the gap year. I took 2 years off. Get those hours in, do as much as you can while you're at Merrimack, but also after. Don't feel like you need to rush out of there and go right into grad school. They want you to do your best and try to get as many hours as you can, just so you look um, that you're standing out more in those applications. So that's what I did.
and just to kind of follow up on that, I'll say Merrimack is great about supporting people for any time period. So if you want to take a gap year and you want a letter recommendation, all the faculty are going to still be happy to connect with you, work with you. Our O'Brien Center will still work with you to review your resume, your cover letters. So what we like to say is once you're a Merrimack Warrior, you're a Merrimack Warrior for life. And so we'll keep supporting and helping you get there. The other thing to kind of since Lauren's graduated, we've launched our Warriors at Work. And so it's actually a full-time co-op. And so one of the things that Amy and I have been working on is trying to set up some clinical co-ops. So a co-op is where you work full-time for 6 months with the idea that it would be a great way to help people get more of those patient care hours. So that's one of the way we're trying to integrate this stuff that, and actually, for full disclosure, I've asked Lauren for advice when we were setting this up. I would message her on LinkedIn. I was like, Lauren, remember this? Can you tell me more about those, what you did? And we've actually modeled some of the experiences we've tried to set up based on her work because it was so successful. So thank you, Lauren.
Of course.
And we just got a question in of what information can you share about the pre-PA undergrad path? So I will give a really brief, but I'm going to turn over to Megan and Alicia since they're both pre-PA and undergrads right now, and what they have kind of done and what they've done through Merrimack. But we have in health sciences, at least, we have a concentration in pre-PA. So we have it set out for you. You have a tracker with the classes you need to take, and we really work to make sure that you're taking the classes that will get you where you want to go. That your requirements for PA school are within there. And then also making sure you're set up for internships and different things to really help you get those clinic hours as much as we can during your undergrad. Although taking a gap year is definitely really helps with those hours. But I want to turn over to Megan and Alicia of like what other things has helped you on your pre-A paths along the way with Merrimack. So Megan, if you wanted to start with that.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to start off by saying I'm a really big advocate for tutoring sessions that Merrimack offers specifically for science classes. Um, I would have not made it this far without them. Those tutors are amazing. They know that material so well. So definitely taking advantage of that. I also want to talk about another part of the PA application that I feel like kind of gets pushed back sometimes, which is volunteer hours. During my sophomore year, I was a part of the Austin Scholars Community, which is an LLC where you learn, serve, and live together. And through that, I was able to volunteer once a week locally. Like I volunteered in a dementia unit in Lowell at the Dualville Nursing Home. And then I also volunteered at Manos Felices, which is an after-school program in Lawrence. So I was able to kind of get a head start on that. And in this fall, I worked as a EMT around the North Shore. So yeah, and then if Alicia wants to go, anything that I missed.
Yeah, I can definitely tag on to that. Um I think tutoring is gonna be your best friend. Jimmy, I took his biochem class and I think he saw me firsthand
Yeah.
struggle. Yeah, but he was like one of the most helpful professors I think I've had
Oh.
at Merrimack. He genuinely made chemistry fun for me and enjoyable to learn, which is a very hard thing to do. But I think your professors are a really big resource that have helped me navigate pre-PA, because you are taking a lot of heavy science courses. Um, my advisors were really helpful. Again, like Amy touched on, that tracker is really helpful in making sure you're hitting all those prereqs that you need, and maximizing your experience at Merrimack and making sure you can get all that in your 4 years. Um, I also, I just had this point in my head. 4 years. Where was I going with this? I was going somewhere, but I would say they outline it really well for you. And I think your biggest resources for pre-PA are um, your professors and advisors and other students on campus. I know my freshman year, my A&P professor, he was my A&P 1 and 2 professor for anatomy and physiology. He actually was just looking for students to work at his physical therapy office. And I applied and I ended up working with him for 3.5 years, gaining experience as a rehabilitation aide. He went on to write me letters of recommendation for other experiences. I ended up leaving there a couple months ago to switch up my patient care experience to make sure I'm kind of getting a well-rounded um, realm of hours. So now I am working at as a medical assistant at a clinic in
Nice.
Danvers. And again, I wouldn't have gotten those opportunities without those resources from my professors and the letters of recommendation. And I think they do a really good job at kind of helping you navigate getting to where you want to be. So I hope that answered a little bit.
Definitely.
And then
I
and then
also
just to
have
kind of I'll say go ahead.
No, it's okay. I also just have one more tidbit because I think Amy talked about internships really quickly. And just kind of from like a perspective of a student who's looking to find internships right now, the Health Science Center, they have a lot of resources for helping you find internships. So you're not doing it alone. They have special advisors that are just for internships. They have people there to help you with your cover letter and your resume. And I would say I get about an email or two a week with like internship opportunities that I can apply to. So they really help you out.
And then just to kind of follow up on those, we do a really great job either from the faculty or from our advising team of helping people fit into the programs they want. So if you're a health science major, they have a really nice pathway carved out. Same thing if you're biology, biochemistry. And just in case people are wondering, typically the way it works is you have your set of courses that you need for your specific degree. So whether it's health science, exercise science, biology, chemistry, and so the courses you need to graduate with that degree at Merrimack. But what we do is try to make those degrees align with all the prerequisite courses that those programs need. And what we always do is sit down with the student and say, hey, what are you interested in? And make sure that, okay, it's PA, it's these programs. And then even a lot of times ask you, do you have some dream schools? Like, are there schools you're really interested in? And we like to just double check to make sure, okay, every now and then you get a school that has a really one-off about a random extra prerequisite that they have that most of them don't, or making sure people know exactly the hour, especially for like things like PA. Sometimes the hours fluctuate anywhere from I think I've seen on the low end like 1,000 to I think I've seen one as high as 4,000, which just seems like a lot. But we do try to so we can have those conversations about okay, what's your pathway forward to make sure you have all the prerequisite courses, all the hours, and really set people up for success.
Yeah, and I will add on to that we have going out. So in February of this year, we went to MCPHS Worcester campus, and Megan came with us, and that was super informative for I think all the students. We took about it was two vans full that went of
Mm-hmm.
students there. And one of the things thinking about clinic hours, so although I think theirs is like 500 or something they say on their website,
Mm-hmm.
but they actually expect you to have about 2,000 to 2,500. So being there in person, getting that chance to talk with the admissions, like bringing those people here or going there to them, helps our students kind of prepare of, okay, how do I actually apply for here competitively? Since not always everything that's up on the website is exactly what they're looking for. So we try to get all that inside information for students so that they know ahead of time what to expect from all these different places.
And then somebody in the Q&A just put in, a pretty much a similar question for dental. And so for pre-dental, we do the exact same thing that it tends to be students either in health science or in biology, biochemistry. You get actually most of the prerequisites set up for those that they typically want you to take a year of Gen Chem, a year of organic, a year of bio, and you kind of get most of those classes in health science and biology, biochemistry. And then again, we'll look at specific requirements for people who are interested in dental, depending on the specific school you want to go to. And we encourage people the same to try to get some clinical hours. Sometimes we'll have people serve as either just work at a dentist's office or serve as a dental assistant. Because I think nowadays people really want that clinical experience, some kind of experience to really stand out. And the same, I think, even though none of them required, a really great research experience or something that's going to help you break out from the pack. I think when you start to apply to some of these competitive programs, there's a lot of really great applicants. And so what we try to do is at Merrimack is really help you stand out. Like what's going to make your resume jump out of the pile. And so whether it's dental or it's PA or vet, we try to make sure that you're always going to have all the courses you need, but then also what's going to make your resume stand out from the rest.
And I think it backtracks a little bit, so I apologize if it does too much. but we talk a lot about these pathways that Merrimack has, and they just keep expanding and expanding, which is so great. I don't think there was a formal pre-PA when I was there, but there was definitely the resources for that. But until my senior year, I applied to physical therapy programs. And so a lot of these pathways are structured with similar courses. A lot of people like, I want to help people, and I thought it was through physical therapy, and I changed my mind through talking to my advisors, and my advisors knowing other people that I could talk to, and I felt a little confused about what I wanted to do moving forward. So I think the pathways are really helpful, but at the beginning, it's so important. I'm not sure if you guys still have it, is the career exploration class,
Mhm.
uh, where you get a lot of different, there's all these programs now. You can look at pre-dental, you can look at pre-med, you can look at pre-PA, because what makes sense for you your freshman year of college might be very different than your senior year of college. So I think staying open to pre-med, pre-PA, and keeping an eye on all those different things is really important. Um, but yeah, the pathways are very flexible, and the advisors are really great with working with you. Because again, my senior year is I applied to physical therapy school, and everyone worked with me, so I was able to go to PA and get what I needed.
And just to second that, I think it's those conversations that are so important because a lot of times we'll sit there and that's a lot of what Amy will do is say, what do you like best about it? And we have a lot of times people ask us, I'm on the fence between going to med school or
Mhm.
PA, which one's the right choice? And there is no right or wrong answer. It's what's right for you. And it's like, well, what do you like best about each one? And trying to make sure that it's fitting with kind of your life goals and what you like best about each one and try to have those conversations to make sure you're picking what's best for you. And it's totally fine to switch. We've had people come in who are interested in PA and switch to med school or vice versa, or sometimes we're thinking of doing a completely different field and switch to med school or vice versa. So I think just finding your passion, because that's where you're really going to be happy and successful. Uh,
Yeah.
I think somebody in the Q&A asked if anyone could talk a little bit more about uh, what they've done for the pre-med path. And so, while it says pre-med, I think if anyone has any more, and I know you already shared a bunch, but any other things they'd like to share that helps you get you to your professional program, that'd be great.
I think it's really interesting because we've obviously met a lot of people in our PA program, some who thought they wanted to go pre-med and then didn't want to take the MCAT. But I think it's interesting when you get to grad school, everyone has a different story. Lauren did something very different than I did. I had a lot of physical therapy in my background, and then I did some medical assisting. A lot of people were EMTs, some people were respiratory therapists. So I think again, the great thing about Merrimack is there's so many different internship opportunities and research opportunities. And then on top of that, they have all of these resources for you to learn how to make a cover letter and how interviewing skills. And I'd love to say there's one thing that can help you get into med school, but it's how you talk about your experiences, and everyone's going to have different ones. So I think learning from your peers, and you could go EMT, you could go medical assistant, you could do something totally different, but it's learning the professional skills and the critical thinking that you can then use in medical school and use in those interviews. Um, but it's interesting. Everyone has a different path, and you could go EMT or you could major in art. But there's lots of different things you can do to prepare.
Okay, I think that's all of our questions from the chat. So maybe we'll end with just kind of one general, um, if you had one piece of information you want to share about your undergraduate education, what would it be? So we can maybe just go around. Angelina, do you want to start? You're in my top corner, so.
I would say what really made my undergraduate experience now and like when I was coming into Merrimack was just talking to like every single person that would listen about like what I cared about, what I was passionate about, what I wanted for my career. Because if I never like even though they're not a pre-med advisor and an advisor, like someone always knows someone that knows if that makes sense. Like you never know who knows what's going on and like there's so much new things happening in our campus. So that's a really good way to get involved and figure out fun things. Like I would have never known about the volunteering opportunity I did if I didn't talk about it or my EMT class that I'm taking right now if I didn't speak about it or the research. Like I had to vocalize my interest in research. So advocate for yourself and like be friendly and get to know everyone. is my advice.
Thank you. Lauren?
If I could go back, I would tell people in my position now to, one, get involved while you're at Merrimack. Do stuff that you like, do stuff that will make you stand out in your application, but enjoy your time at Merrimack.
Mhm.
You're only in college once. Do stuff that you really feel passionate about. When I was there, I loved cheerleading, so I did cheerleading.
Mhm.
I did student ambassador. I wanted to help students get into Merrimack. I wanted to show off my campus. I was proud of being a warrior, so I did that. And I also did other stuff like publications for research. I worked with the genetics professor, one of them, and I got into the National Library of Medicine. We submitted a genome, so that was pretty cool. I was in the Spanish magazine for one of my Spanish courses. So it's awesome at Merrimack because there's so many different things you can do, but you need to put yourself out there. It's scary at first, freshman year you get a little nervous, but do put yourself out there. You will enjoy your time there. There's a lot of people, a lot of professors, a lot of advisors that are really there for you and will help you succeed. Another thing is do your research. So if you know you want to go on to grad school, look early. Look at what they want, look at what they are offering, and what they need to see on your application for you to look good. So if you know you want to do PA or you want to do pre-med, look at both, see what
Mhm.
similarities they have, and incorporate them into your learning and what courses you choose.
Great, thank you. Megan?
Yeah, so one thing about my undergrad I would say is get together with those people in your major and study. It was one of the best things I ever did. And it's everyone's first time doing this. Nobody knows what's right. So like exploring that with people who are in like the similar like major as you is like really important. It's really helpful. And there's such a like large group of like there's nursing majors here, there's biology majors here, there's a lot of health profession majors here. So everyone is kind of in the same spot and you're not so different from everyone else. You definitely have something in common. So it's just kind of making those relationships and it'll help you grow in the future.
Thank you. Brianna?
Yeah, I think everyone's been hitting the nail on the head. I was going to say, talk to as many people as you can and let them know your goals. Because the second I did that with my advisor, I got connected with 3 or 4 people in the professional field. And that's ultimately what helped me make my decision. And I couldn't be more happy with it. Um, and don't limit yourself to what you do. I was a student athlete. I had a job off campus. You can meet someone in chess club that has the same goals as you and has good advice. And I'd say whether you talk to your advisor or you see a Merrimack alum on LinkedIn that is going to PA school or has kind of the same drive as you when you're a junior or senior, reach out and ask for advice because people who've gone through it um, might be able to help you make those tweaks or tell you something you can be doing to help. So keep reaching out to people and keep making those connections all 4 years.
Great, thanks. And then Alicia?
Alrighty. Again, I think everybody is like right in the same realm. I would say if I could give any advice, one, it would be again, those connections that I talked about, like they really go far. Making those relationships with professors, talking about research. Like I said, I would have never known about the research opportunity with Dr. Shafir if I didn't talk to my friend about it. And again, we had the same interests. Um, so utilizing those people around you will take you far. I also think again, health professions, you think like you need the grades, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's also you can enjoy your time in college. You can do everything. I work 2 jobs. I can still do good in my classes. I can still be involved on campus doing service opportunities. I think Angelina does more than I've ever heard. So I mean,
Yeah.
you you definitely can do do well in your career while also experiencing your younger years in college. So just remember that.
I think we have a couple more questions that came into the chat.
Yeah, I know we're coming up on the hour mark, but let's get these questions addressed. These are great questions and
Okay.
happy to answer them.
So somebody asked about co-ops and how they work at Merrimack. So the really great thing about Merrimack is we just launched this co-op program where it's going to be a 6 month co-op. So you'll get course credit. So instead of taking your electives or some of your upper electives in your major, they've built them into the program. So you'll do a 6 month co-op that'll either go from the beginning of July to the end of December. So it would be half the summer and your fall semester, or you can start it in the spring semester. So you'd start in January and you'd finish at the end of June. And those are your two 6 month co-ops. So you pick one or the other. You wouldn't do both. So you could pick one and you would get 12 credits of Merrimack class. So essentially, instead of taking your traditional coursework, you would do a co-op and it would translate into class credits. The really nice thing is it'll be tailored towards to match your research interests, your career interests, your career goals. So if you wanted to go into healthcare, one of the things we would try to do is partner you up with somebody who could do some patient facing work. We've actually been working, we haven't finalized it, but I'm hoping it'll be our next big announcement with one of the hospital units in the greater Boston area to take our kids and create exclusive co-op opportunities for them. So that would kind of parlay really well with our articulation agreements. And then for the EMT, and Angela, correct me if I say this incorrectly, because she's been championing this, is we don't have the EMT training formally on our Merrimack campus, but we have several partnering institutions. Angela, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a pretty seamless process. You just fill out a form. I think I signed it for you, and so we send it off to the register. You don't have to worry about Twitch or anything. It's just as you're taking courses at Merrimack. You don't do anything behind the scenes. Merrimack takes care of it, and you just go take your EMT classes. Some of them are online. Then I think you have to go a couple times. But before I answer the next question, Angela, any thoughts on EMT? Did I characterize it correctly?
Yeah, like the bureaucracy logistics is not hard at all. You just have to get yourself to the campus, which is like a 15-minute drive because it's during like peak. It's like very short from Merrimack, so it's really
Mhm.
easy. And all of it, it's actually in person, but a lot of the quizzes and exams are online just because we need so much time in the lab doing CPR and all the EMT things.
And it is a really great skill set. As we were talking to some of the ed schools, I think kind of like what you've heard from our panelists, they really like people who get in there and either do EMT training, CNA, work with patients. And so I think our panelists have done a great job of highlighting all the different opportunities, but they really like to see that. Uh, and then I think there was one more question. Is that okay, Lucas, if I try to squeeze this last one in? All right.
Yeah, of course.
Are there a lot, if there are a lot of labs, yes, we love to get you that experience. Whether it's in health science and you're working, our athletic training room is awesome. They transport you into like you're at an athletic training facility and they have the tables and everything, or you're in the chemistry labs. We want you to get those experiences where you really feel like you're in a clinic or you're in a lab. But that being said, even though a lot of our classes have those lab experiences, we do really work really hard to make sure that people can be as engaged in whatever they're doing. So whether it's a D1 athlete and you're going to practices, to games, our faculty, our advising team work really hard to make sure you're successful at both. No, we tried to make you miss a few practices and we definitely don't make you miss any games to be able to participate. And it's not even just for our athletes. I think Lauren was talking about she did cheerleading, and I think you guys did like a national competition, right? When you were here at Merrimack, and so we want people to be successful in any endeavors, and even highly encourage it. It looks great on application if you got into intramural sports. We do these really cool send trips where you can go do volunteer for a whole week, and
Mm.
so the more things you can do, the better. And we try to help you. So I don't want anyone to think these labs or anything like that are an impediment to being successful. They're actually a complement, and we work really hard to make sure everything fits in together.
Yeah, and I will add with the labs that what I've noticed is there's a lot of options for labs as well. So it's, a main class and then there's many lab sections. And so we tend to work with how does that fit into your schedule, knowing what your practice schedule is for athletics or whatever like that. Um, I think.
Oh, and then the last question about is it something you sign up? Yep. So you fill out a form. So with any of our partnering institutions, they'll offer these EMT courses. You just look on the schedule, and just like you would sign up for a class at Merrimack, you fill it out, send it in, and the register takes care of everything. So it's actually really easy. And we actually have a couple of partnering schools, so you have a handful of options. And then I know as we're coming up on time, one last plug, and I think I might be still in Lucas's thunder. Please reach out to us. I think you were going to put maybe our emails or contact info in the chat, and Amy, myself, Lucas would love to chat more if you have any specific questions or follow up. And so please don't hesitate to reach out. We're always excited to talk about some of the exciting things we have going here at Merrimack.
Yeah,
Yes,
you can
definitely.
always feel free to reach out to us. I've tossed Amy and Jimmy's emails out there. You can always reach us at admission@merrimack.edu as well too if you have some more specific admission related questions. But as we come up on the hour here, just wanted to thank you all for tuning in. Fantastic questions, awesome stories from all of our panelists, and great to
Yeah.
hear from Amy and Jimmy. And so, just as a reminder too that this is being recorded and we'll be able to circulate that with all of you to reference questions you had asked and answers you may have not been able to jot down or completely remember. So once again, just wanted to thank you all for tuning in, and shout out to all of our panelists for joining us as well.
Yeah.
We
Right.
appreciate that. Fantastic stories of their Merrimack experiences. And so, yeah, so feel free to reach out to us with any additional questions. With that being said, enjoy the rest of your evenings, everybody.
Nice. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.